Our viewers all over the world, including the Bakwetu family, welcome to another special edition of the Bakwetu TV. Tonight we host our resident MP, no other than Honorable Mabeta. Honorable Mabeta is the MP for Kankoyo Constituency in Mufurila. As usual, we'll be joined in by Bakwetu TV maybe around 15-30 minutes before the end of the program. By the way, our viewers, please share the program and start sending those much needed stars. And also don't forget to subscribe to Bakwetu TV. It's only $4 a month. Thank you. Welcome, Honorable Mabeta, to Bakwetu TV.
Wow, it's good to be here like it has always been. I'm glad to be here, Chilufya. Allow me to say good evening to everybody who's had decided to put their busy schedule aside. You know, they have other TV programs they can watch, other things, books they can read, other things they can do just to come and interact with us. So I really appreciate the time they're going to spend with us. Obviously, I hope you're okay, Chilufya, and the other team. Mulefye bwino kubulayo okomukwai.
Tulifye bwino ba Mabeta kubula kuno kutalele fye. But I understand it's the opposite ku Zambia na kukaba. Yeah,
yeah,
but otherwise we are okay. And tule shimpa bale sabale tsonga.
Yeah.
So without wasting much of our time, Mabeta, our viewers, today we've got a number of topics we're gonna talk about, and most all the topics affect Zambia. You know, issues happening in Zambia, stories on social media. That's what we're gonna talk about with Honorable Mabeta. Honorable Mabeta, we'll start with the Kabwata by-election. We all know that Kabwata by-election was cancelled because one of the candidates resigned or withdrew. We don't know what happened. And as a result, the elections were cancelled. The by-election was cancelled. Yeah, but Honorable Mabeta, I've just got, and today I understand the nominations were done today, and hopefully they went well. You tell us about that. But Honorable Mabeta, I will start with what is your involvement in? I'll ask you two questions. One, firstly, your involvement in the Kabwata by-election, and then Honorable Mabeta, the Kabwata by-election was cancelled just few days before the ballot papers could come in from Dubai, which means there was a lot of money spent there, taxpayers' money, and that's a waste of money. It's like bedding money or washing money. as a member of parliament, Mabeta, muri mu parliament, don't you think we need reforms to change, you know, the electoral, to change some of these lacunas in our law, you know? Thank you, Mabeta.
Yeah, definitely. That is was very unfortunate and unpatriotic to the person, regardless of the reason they had to withdraw. They could have put maybe their personal interests aside and looked at the bigger picture on how much the country has lost already. It's not just about the ballot paper. It's not about maybe election material. Even the candidates, they had to pay twice. The candidates have been subjected to overstretch their budget, which is a huge drain on their side. It doesn't promote democracy. When democracy becomes expensive, you end up reducing the participants. Also, I think during the presidential we saw this coming. During the presidential election, we almost took this direction, but you know, opachingirira makaya kwalesa, we survived this trend. Imagine if during the presidential election, just one candidate out of the 17, 16, 17 withdrew 2 days before the election, what Zambia could have lost because of this bad law. So this law, there is no compromise. There is no debate about it. Definitely, this law has to be amended at all costs because it's going to cost the people of Zambia unnecessary expenses. In the system, there are always people unpatriotic. There are always people who want to abuse the system for their selfish needs. So always going to have someone who's going to withdraw at a point when the government has already spent to conduct an election. So this law, I'm sure, as we go back to Parliament, which is opening on the 14th of February, this is something we need to change as soon as possible without even hesitation. Otherwise, we're going to be subjected to this kind of this kind of unfortunate situation. Very, very unfortunate. Even the mental disturbance, we moved in a bit later as UPND in Kabwata, but we started picking up. At the point when we were just picking up, the election was cancelled. So that also disturbed the morale, it disturbs the concentration, it disturbs the mental investment you are investing in the Kabwata election. Not only as UPND, but all participants, all parties, when there's such an election, which is a matter of life and death, you get so much emotion because you're thinking, you're planning, you're organizing, you're putting these logistics to ensure that things can work. So it disturbs the mental concentration, which maybe may cause an election if you don't pick up from this point. Because you only have an election the next 2 weeks. So how much you respond in the next 2 weeks also matters. So the mental, I can say, the pickup we are picking as UPND was disturbed in Kabwata. Even maybe PF who had an upper hand that time to sustain that momentum is going to be difficult for them because it disturbed the momentum which they had when they went into Kabwata. So it's a lot of things are being disturbed. So I'll be going to Kabwata next week to join the team in campaigning. I think there's a word we've been given to just see there's a word which has got over 21,000 votes. Just one word, Kabata is highly populated. Just one word can have as many as 21,000 votes. Is so high that I'm sure that it's one of the killer punch words in Kabata. So we'll join the team and just do share some few strategies which we think we can use to ensure that we reach as many people as possible within a short period of time. Share the message, remind them, and listen to them. Sometimes all a voter wants is to be heard. It's not all the time that you have to tell them what you're doing. Sometimes they just want to be heard so that they are assured to say they're also participating in the governance system of the country. So we shall we shall support the people of Kabata to ensure that that seat's obvious. It's a must has to return to UPND.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. Before I could go on to the second issue on the agenda, how how confident are you that the UPND will scoop the Kabwata election? And secondly, why do the PF want Kabwata elections so badly? Thank you.
Yeah, how confident? I think I'm a person, who believes in numbers. When you look at the UPND numbers from 2006 to date, every election the numbers have been peaking. You know, every election the UPND numbers were peaking. But when you look at the PF from 2015, after the death of Michael Chilufya, in all the provinces apart from Eastern Province, the numbers started going down. Look at the 2016 results. The numbers for PF, all the provinces apart from Eastern Province, the numbers were going down. 2021, Chilufya, you can't believe to say the total number of votes PF got in 2016 over as the total number of votes, the 1.8, is the same number the PF got in 2021. In the 5 years, they never grew their numbers. Why? Because they had lost so much grip in the traditional stronghold, and they were relying on the new stronghold being Eastern Province to cover up that gap. In the 5 years between 2026 and 2021, their numbers never grew. You know, they reached a point where they can't attract any new numbers anymore. So what will make them? What makes them believe suddenly they lost fortune they lost after the death of Michael Chilufya has changed? You know, so it simply shows to say they don't understand and appreciate the science behind statistics. The numbers are there to show. Even when we went to the 2021 election, the confidence which we had as UPND was the growing numbers. Only that we didn't know that these numbers could have grown to the record high of 2.8. But we knew that every election UPND was gaining the numbers. Every year UPND was building on the numbers. PF was SATA. After SATA, PF started dying. It was just a matter of time that PF was going to die. You can't separate PF from SATA. So no matter how much they try to pretend or seek for comfort, which ends up frustrating them, which end up making them bitter, pushing them into denial, the statistics have shown that PF has been registering negative growth since 2015. So where are they going to get the numbers to build, to change the narrative, to change the buzz, to change the statistics, to change the curve, which has taken a nosedive? It's not possible. It's not possible. Remember, even in August 2021, when UPND won the Kabwata election, there was so much political intimidation. Very few people, civil servants, were not allowed to comment or to air out their opinion on the national affairs. But this time we've got bus drivers. You know, majority of the people in Kabwata use buses to move from one point to another. Get their language. They're campaigning for UPND because the stations now have been normalized. Bus drivers are making over a 500 kwacha a day when they're making barely less than 150 kwacha a day. Today, when you jump on a bus and ask a bus driver how much they're making per day in terms of the revenue they're making, 500 kwacha, 6 others, 800 kwacha in a day, because cadarism have been removed from the market. They are controlling their finances, they're controlling their movements. So they're happy to say their business is breathing. Even those who trade in the markets, they're able to say the business is now, at least the business is sticking when you're in Lusaka. So there are so many people who are happy with what is happening. So the illusion, the 2021 election was so tense that it's so difficult to accept the result. So friends have been overtaken by the natural tendency of denying the result. So they're in denial. But the earlier they get out of denial, the better for them. Let them reflect. Let them go back on the drawing board and look at the numbers. Statistics are there. It will show them. Rather than looking for blames, looking for this, it won't help them. Let them look at the point. PF started registering a negative growth. They had reached a saturation point, which they can't go beyond.
Yeah, Honorable Mabeta, somebody has got a small question here. Who is your candidate, please? Can you just tell the viewers who is the UPND candidate?
Yes, our candidate is a resident of Kabwata. He's been a UPND member for a long time, and he's been very much active in the community work in Kabwata. He's a Christian. So all I can say is the people need to believe to say we have a candidate who's clean, a candidate who's reliable. You know, at this point, what we need to look at is the track record of the candidates before we can even entrust them with the national affairs. The movement of the CDF from central government to the constituencies, bringing a lot of temptations and a lot of crooks down to the CDF. So if you're going to have civic leaders with questionable track records who have shown appetite to embezzle public funds, we are going to have a problem even in Kabwata, because at the end of the day, the MP is going to set a tone on how the public funds are going to be utilized for the benefit of the people. So what we need is to look at the track record. You know, this is employment. Kabwata, you know, the people in Kabwata, most of them are middle class who understand recruitment processes, CVs. Let them look at the track record of the candidates who have been floated and who can be trusted. Which candidate can support the vision and the programs of the UPND? Because in UPND, there's so much emphasis on accountability, transparency, and service leadership. You know, so are the candidates coming from a background where there is transparency in things they do? Are they trustworthy? You know, trust is very important. It's very critical in the UPND government, because we don't want. Are you able to get me? Patrick?
I'm okay, Mabeta. Continue.
Yes, yes. So our candidate is somebody who is equal to the task. All we want is someone who believes and shares the vision, somebody who's been in UPND, and someone who understands what we UPND stand for, which is performance, accountability, and hard work. You know, so let them not be swelled down by crooks, because a crook is always a crook. No matter how much, a leopard can never change their skin.
That was a very good explanation, Mabeta. Sorry, I'm getting that was a very good explanation, Mabeta. I think maybe you need to mute yourself before, unless I tell you to come in. Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. That was a very good explanation on Kabwata. And then that brings us to another topic. You know, the PF propaganda machinery is now in top gear. You know, especially Kabwata, and with Kabwata elections coming. Just hold on, Honorable Mabet. I'm getting can you get me clearly now?
Yeah, I can get you, sure.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting an echo somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
So
still getting it.
yeah, so it's okay now. Yeah, so the PF propaganda has reached the top gear now, and one of the people who is making so many utterances is former ambassador, you know, to South Africa and Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mwamba. Emmanuel Mwamba has made comments about Honorable Chipoka Muson Mulenga's wife being appointed as the chair of the Rural Electrification Agency, and also said, has made comments about the spouse of our Green Minister, Honorable Collins, of being appointed as the head of procurement. I think it's at ZESCO. But before I ask you the question, I don't know where all of a sudden Ambassador Mwamba has got so much wisdom to talk about things like this, because when you look at ZESCO, approximately 52 staff members were dismissed between 2020 and 2021 because they were perceived to have come from the Zambezi provinces, and some of them were perceived as UPND sympathizers. And not only that, the PF itself, on their manifesto, or in their manifesto, or in their constitution, it clearly states that in opera status, they have to employ PF cadres. That's what they said. and they employed a lot of cadres, most of them who are not qualified. And Mabeta, there's so many examples. When you look at Zesco, the HR manager at Zesco is the wife to Kelvin Sampa, the former Kasama MP. Here in London, we've got a wife of Sunday Chanda working at the embassy. So there's so many of them at Zesco there. They are nephews to nieces and nephews to former ministers. You know, I would give an example. Bowman Lusambo's niece works at Zesco. So there's so many of them. So I don't know why this propaganda, where Ambassador Mwamba has so much wisdom to attack this government. But so, what is your view on why is this propaganda, you know, moved to the top gear, PF, and what's the difference between, PF was employing cadres in most strategic positions in parastatals and government agencies. Is the UPND doing the same? And why is this propaganda, PF reached the top gear? Thank you, Mabeta.
Yeah, I think Chilufya, just like I said, PF were in denial. So the fact that they're in denial was welcome, Kelevai. The fact that they're in denial, they still want to do things the old way. Let's look at PF history. 2001 PF was the party which was nowhere to be seen to the economy, nowhere near the corridors of power. 2006, they struggled to win the election. 2008, they struggled until they now went to bed with the Post newspaper, which did a lot of propaganda on the MMD. The Post did a lot of propaganda. By that time, Emmanuel Mwamba was in the MMD. I think he was working for the late President Chilufya. Yeah, he was working for the late President Chilufya. So Emmanuel Mwamba understands to say PF only managed to dislodge MMD because of propaganda using the Post. So now he wants to adopt the tactic which the Post used to dislodge MMD, to come and dislodge UPND from power. But it can't work. Why? PF PF dug their own death. By them burying the Post, they lost a media which understood how to do propaganda on their behalf. A few months ago, PF was saying UPND is on Facebook. They kept on saying UPND is on Facebook. PF never wanted to do anything with Facebook. It's only now that they have realized to say they can engage the citizens through Facebook. But I can assure you, Zambians, with Zambians, we take time to change our perception. We take time to, we are so compassionate people. I can say we're emotional beings. When we believe in something, it takes time. It's only that person who can change us, what we believe in, than what someone is telling us. It took so many years for UPND to grow numbers in PF strongholds. Believe you me, Mr. Sata been alive, it would have even been impossible, because the people who believed in Mr. Sata's vision, it was impossible to change them, because we Zambians believe in something through emotion. So no matter how much the PF want to bring their propaganda on Facebook, they are wasting their time. Let them build another, I can say, media, which can help them spread their propaganda. But when it comes to Facebook, UPND, I think this is where I always thank the President Hakainde Hichilema, did very well to invest in Facebook. Because even when he never came to campaign on the Copper Belt, he was never allowed to campaign in Pulungu, he was never allowed to campaign in Mbala, he was never allowed to campaign in Kipata. Through Facebook, he was able to reach out to the people. So he has got the press team, they call the press team. You're not the press team, we have believed, staunch. You're so staunch that you can't convince us easily. So, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba and the other gangs who are trying so much hard to use Facebook to do propaganda, they're wasting their time. We are very much alert. We know what we want and we know where we're going. So the ploy of using propaganda is being in denial, wanting to do things the same way, just in a different form, hoping for different results. Can't change like that. Propaganda, the politics of propaganda are long gone, Chilufya. No matter how much you want to spread falsehood, it just takes a night. In the following, the truth is known. You know, that's recording they wanted to do about, unfortunately, the PS, this Mr. Kafumba and the Honorable Ngoma, to try to paint a picture that say UPND is the one which was planning to block a DP candidate to file in. Doesn't make sense. DP got less than 1% votes in the 2021 election, just 4 months ago. Why should you worry about the DP this time? In fact, DP, when it comes into the competition, they're going to eat in the PF votes than the UPND votes. You know, the one who should be more worried about DP contesting a candidate should be PF than the UPND, because already Chilufya is coming to eat in the PF votes. DP is also coming to eat in the PF votes. So on Tembo, although he seems to be not having direction, but if he's going to get any numbers, eating from PF, UPND numbers are very strong and solid. So the one who should be worried about DP having a candidate in Kabwata should be PF, not UPND. So that denial, you know, the area they got out of the status of being in denial, the area they are going to start looking at things objectively. At the moment, their vision is clouded. They can't see things clearly. They can't see things clearly. It doesn't just make sense, the propaganda they want to see. When it comes to ministers having wives being promoted or reinstated, look what the new appointed procurement manager at ZESCO. I don't know if it's director or manager. She was in ZESCO for a long time, over 20 years. She rose through the ranks. So just a virtue, so just at a stage of getting that job, and she was sidelined because the husband declared that she's UPND. So should a woman fail to grow her career because of what the husband is doing? No? Are we trying to say women should always be second class to men? Shouldn't women have their own career because of a man? These are the people who indirectly are saying a woman should not be promoted, a woman should not be recruited because she's under the shadow of a man. A woman can't have her own career because she belongs to the kitchen. That's what they're trying to say. A woman cannot work because the husband is working. Shouldn't women have their own career? No, absolutely not. You know, this is discrimination. PF is all about discriminating. Indirectly, they're discriminating ladies who are career oriented because they have got a surname which they have acquired on the way, and they want to be discriminated based on them being a woman, not looking at their potential capability to execute the job. So it's all illusion and the consequence of being in denial.
Honorable Mabeta, that was fantastic. Before I ask Wom Keleva to ask you a question on that before we move on, there is a comment here. They're saying project destabilize, which that's what I know. They're trying to destabilize the government. But the question, Mabeta, is: have we got a strategy as a party, as a government, to deal with this project destabilize? You know. Thank you.
Yeah, but maybe the question I should also ask is, does PF even have the capacity to destabilize what UPND has built over time? No, the noise they're making, believe you me, the noise they're making.
The point people are making, Mabeta, sorry to cut you short. They are saying, don't underestimate these people. They are there. They've got a strategy. They want to destabilize the government. So the question is, can that strategy work? Or if it keeps on, have we got a strategy to deal with that strategy, with that project destabilize?
Yeah, I think as UPND, we need to focus on the reasons why the Zambian people voted for us. The Zambian people voted for us to give them a functioning economy, an economy which is going to respond, which will start making them believe that it's responding to their needs, you know. And this economy has to be managed through the budget and other statutory instruments you put in. And number two, Chilufya, is to give them a report on things they've got questions about: the gassing, the corruption. It's only two things I think we need to focus on as UPND: the economy and giving answers to the Zambian people. No matter how much the PF will come with any other strategy to destabilize, as long as we can convince to the Zambian people to say For sure, there was corruption in the previous government, and this is the corruption, and people are convicted would have been made to pay back. And the economy, the promises we've made in the 2021 budget, recruit the teachers, recruit the nurses, we may make the commitments, the CDF money are paid, the retirees are paid, all those commitments are made. I'm sure the Zambian people will be happy. There's medicine, the hospitals, there's access to better health care, there's improvement in their livelihood, the economy is working. That's all we need to do. We shouldn't be dreamt or we shouldn't be distracted by people who are in denial, because those who are in denial, they're just going to distract us. So if you let us focus on two things, fulfilling the 2021 budget so that the economy can start responding or give hope to say the economy for sure. I mean, the economy is now beginning to give us hope that tomorrow, if I invested, I worked so hard, I produced 200 bags of maize, I'm going to have a market and I'll sell, I'll be paid. If I retire tomorrow, I'm going to get my retirement benefits in the shortest period of possible time. Let's just the economy start working and give answers to the questions Zambians have. There are a lot of questions. The power tender saga, there are a lot of corruption cases. There's the auditor's report. All Zambians want is the answers to those questions they have. That's what we should need to focus on. So those who want to destroy, those who have got this strategy, it's them who have to think more than what we need to do. For us in the UPND is to perform. Thinking and strategizing is for them who can't perform because they don't have the opportunity to execute government programs.
Mabeta, let me just read the comment from our own Linda Banks. The new Dawn government ought to control the narrative. They are doing an incredible work, yet the information is lost in translation. It's not getting to the masses, hence leaving room for the likes of Ambassador Mwamba to fill in the gap. Have we got a vacuum in terms of information dissemination? And then,
Yeah, well,
okay, then I'll allow Mo Mukelebai to ask his question as soon as you finish. So, Bo Mukelebai, ask your question on the first two topics. We've done the Kabwata by-election and the PF machinery propaganda. Propaganda machinery, by the way. Thank you, Bo Mabeta.
okay.
Honorable Mabeta.
Yes. I've been having community engagement, Chilufya. We've had on average, we have a community in a ward. We give them time to ask questions, 15 questions on average. I think that's the average. The highest we've had is 15, the lowest we've had is 12 questions. And the questions that people have been asking are things to do with the hope the UPND is giving them. I haven't heard any question about the propaganda which Mwamba is doing on Facebook. So when we say the information is not getting down to the people all know about employment, they know about the information which affects them, they know it. The information which is important to them, they know it. They know about the empowerment, they know about the CDF, they know about the job recruitment. They also want to understand on the medication when I'm going to have medicine available. So on the ground, on the ground, the information, the important information is there. When it comes to the ground, the important information is there. But but through having meetings, someone was asking me about the propagandas, about these things which people are talking about. For now, Zambians are not interested because they don't talk about them. I've been on radio. I was in radio in Kitwe Flavor FM. I never heard anyone asking a question which was in line with the propaganda the PF is projecting. Tomorrow I'll be in Chingola in the morning. I'll be on radio and I take note of the questions. So I want to compare the things which concern the people against the propaganda. So when it comes to what is on the ground, because the radio, we give them time to phone in and call randomly just to get the feedback, to understand the issues affecting the people. We don't get this propaganda the people trying to project. So I think for us, that's as I've said, as UPND, what is our business? Our business is to give hope to the people, to say the things we have promised them in the 2021 budget. They are real and we are not telling them stories. That's all we need to do. And to make them reality. Make them, if we promise farmers to pay them, let's pay them. If there's a delayment, Let's explain to them why there's a delayment and give them hope on the date. We promised to recruit teachers. Let's have a deadline to that program. We promised to recruit nurses. Let's have a deadline. We promised CDF. You know, CDF is coming in December. Let's be honest and tell the people only money to raise this fund in December so that we kill the anxiety and unnecessary propaganda from our friends in the PF. The moment we don't give timelines or don't give program guides, that's why they're finding it's easy to chip in and try to confuse our people to say the UPND government, they are liars also. But if there's a timeline which you can follow, if it's we divert from that timeline, there should be an explanation and give the next timeline. All we need to do as UPND is to focus on delivering the promises. That's all we need. The promises and answers to the questions Zambians have. Because they've got a lot of answers when it comes to corruption, when it comes to human rights abuse. There are a lot of questions they're looking for answers. So we need to start providing those answers to the questions. The longer we take, the more we are giving the PF room to say they lied to come into government. They told you this without fail to prove, you know. So we need to move a bit more responsive and focus on what we need than spending so much time trying to think and imagine what strategies PF using to destabilize us and how we're going to counter that destabilization when we're in the driving seat.
Bom Kelebai, your question, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Kimanzi bwani sichawasa Jesus, sichawasa bulozi, komulutwela kaofela. Kiluna kelmitela ape Bakwetu. Bo Honorable Mabeta, it is wonderful to see you today and to give us the update on the Kabwata and the propaganda taking place today perpetrated by the PF. I don't even know why we keep on talking about PF. I will go back first because body loser. There's a loser. So how could we even get advice from failures? Because this is what the Kabwata people should get. That PF are a bunch of failures that are full of lies. And that is the truth. I'm telling you, Zambia, that PF are a bunch of liars. And they are going to try by all means with the little resources that they have acquired to buy few individuals that will be covered because they are used. That is their way of governing. They are used to buy people. They are used to deceive. They are full of deceitful information. So my question, Mabeta, Honorable, how prepared are you and how do you retaliate to this nonsense from the PF, from the PF, for the PF camp? How well is UPND prepared? Because we don't see much of either retaliation or unless UPND tells us that they don't want to waste their time and energy to answer to nonsense, then I'll agree with them. Then the second question is about the Kabwata residents. What message? I know Kabwata residents voted for UPND. Unfortunately, our beloved MP died. May his soul rest in peace. But here we are again. Why would the Kabwata people choose to either vote for another candidate who is not from the UPND team? What message are you still going to give the Kabwata residents, because they are craving for that message that you gave them in last year on the 12th of August, and they want to continue. They want to see those promissory notes you made being fulfilled. need to miss that. Thank you.
Yes. Responding to PF illusions, I think it's not something, like I've put it, it's not something which should bother us. What should bother us, are we giving hope to the Zambian people? Are we making them believe to say we're different from other politicians who would tell you something to appease you or to make you feel nice, but that thing that doesn't materialize? All we need now is to ensure that we give deadlines, like I've said, to things which we, the UPND, have committed to do for the Zambian people in 2021. The promises we've made, they should come with deadlines, so that people can plan, they can have hope. If those deadlines are disturbed by unforeseen circumstances, that should be an explanation. We should be convincing, not for the sake of giving that explanation. So we need to have deliverables which are time bound, so that it's easy to convince and give, make the Zambians believe. So responding to illusions by the PF, I think that shouldn't be our business. Otherwise, we end up fighting their game. For them, all they have done, all their in existence, PF have been telling lies, as you have said. It's all about lies, 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 hiding things, no transparency. We only get to know things now. So responding to illusions, I think it's just draining our energy. Our energy should be, our focus should be on putting deadlines, time frames to the things you're promising the people, so that there is that hope and connection between the government and the people. Obviously, the people of Kabwata is a dynamic, constituency. It's got the middle class, it's got the upper class, it's got graduates, it's got also students. Majority of the youth there, they are students in different colleges and universities, they are boarding houses. So the message should be tailored to reach out to them, Kabwata people, the residents of Kabwata are badly hit by cadarism, because most of the people in Kabwata, they either work in town or they are residents of Kabwata, and they were so scared. They didn't have the freedom to express themselves. The cadres really hit them so strong. Kabwata, that's a constituency where we saw pangas flying, because it was so brutal in Kabwata. Kabwata is next to Chawama, which had a gang of, innocent Kalimansi and the group where they are the training ground. So the people of Kabwata were living in fear. That's why we don't need to do any violence in Kabwata. No matter how much it will cost us, we need to show them, the people of Kabwata, that we are different when it comes to cadarism. The way the president detests cadarism. It doesn't, the way he detests thugs in political party, because cadres and thugs in political party are two different people. It's just that the word has now been abused to suit the criminality and thuggery which we saw in political parties. So anyone who commits a crime in the name of political party should be treated as a thug, not even as a cadre, because I'm also a cadre. I'm a cadre, I believe. I'm deep rooted in the beliefs and aspiration of the UPND. So we need to continue projecting to say, for the first time, the people of Kabwata are free. There's freedom in them. That's very important to them. Number two, issues of opportunities. We need to explain to them the state, especially teachers recruitment, nurses recruitment, because Kabwata, there is even an apex school there where there is a lot of medical students. They want to know, is there hope for them? This is the message we need to take to them. A lot of people in Kabwata, they work for NGOs. What message? How are the NGOs now working with the government? Are the NGOs getting the necessary support? Do they have the support, or are they willing to work with the government? When you look at most of the NGOs through the IMF deal, they have just brought confidence in the governance system. They are willing to push in money, pumping money in the economy, or to support what is their program lines. That's why here in Kankoyo, very lucky. EU had the European Union had released 150 million euros to rebuild the water education system, but the EU was sitting on that money. They were not confident to say when they give that money to water utilities company, the PF will come after the money. So they start on it. Today, the contractor is mobilizing. Very soon, the people of Kankoyo are going. The issue of water problem with the issue, will be an issue of the past, because of the confidence the EU has towards the UPND government. So there are things we need to explain to them, things which directly affect them, things which were not working in the past, but now they're working because of having changed the government. The message of the so there's a lot you are going to explain to them because we have what to tell them. They are not using illusions or fake promises. Things are working. There's change which should be translated in the livelihood of the people. So the message is there, Momukerewa. You are going to engage them and explain to them.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. I can see you doing a lot of work for the party, campaigning in Kabwata. You'll be going to Chingola, and I hope many other UPND MPs are doing the same. Back to Kankoyo, Honorable Mabeta. I understand you are involved in community work. Um, what kind of community engagement programs are you involved in Kankoyo, specifically for your constituency, Kankoyo? Thank you.
Yeah, but basically it's explaining the government programs, like I've put it. Explain first, you have to change the narrative from handouts to engaging the people, respect them, hear them, and give them a time frame to say what you have agreed you expect it to do in the next 3, 4, 5 months. After this period, you come back to give your reports, getting issues which concern different groups because you have got miners who are retired, they're working for contracting, companies which are contracted by the mines. Those companies disappeared without giving them benefits. You've got miners who are retired on medical ground. They got sick due to exposure to some certain chemicals in the mine on a compensation. So they want also to be attended to because their money has been eroded by inflation. So we get the information which affects them. Just being available and getting the feedback from them, giving them an opportunity to engage you without looking for what you're going to give them. Without disturbing their concentration on how much you're going to give them after the meeting. So we're the meeting, not giving them anything. And what we've seen is the change of the attitude and I can say the focus of the people of Kankoyo. In the past, they were used to handouts. Every time you meet them, you have to give them a 20 kwacha, a 30 kwacha. Now they're a bag of minimum. They have said that doesn't help them. That's what they don't. They don't need that. What they want are solutions to problems which are affecting them. So engage them, we'll listen to them, ask them if given a chance how they will budget the CDF. They've done proposals. We've got so much brains, we've got so much brilliance within our communities when they're given the right environment to express themselves. So the change of attitude, the change of from being dependent to being creative. Through our engagement, you've learned a lot from the people of Kankoyo who understood issues which are affecting them and issues which we need to focus on. In as much as they need development, but they also need to find a way to earn a living. At the end of the day, we might have a hospital function, you might have an ambulance, the best hospital. But if you don't have food on the table every day, that hospital becomes useless. So those are things we're trying to focus on. How can we work together? Change of mindset from shift of looking at personal benefit to look at the group benefit. Teamwork. We have been for so much focusing on teamwork. How do we work as a team to change the outlook and ability to get opportunities for the people of Kankoyo? So the engagement has been so good, and we have appreciated it so much that you're looking forward to finishing the program and get back to Kabwata and come back and start engaging the people because they are having productive and very fruitful engagement with the people of Kankoyo. Even them, they're appreciating the government programs. The CDF may be seen like it's something which the citizens are not appreciating. But like a constituency in Kankoyo, which in the last 5 years received less than 3 million for development, receiving 25.7 for the first time, that would be a historical amount of money which the citizens are expecting. So that's why I said, all we need is to give them a time frame when they should expect this CDF to come, so that when it doesn't come, they can ask me to say, you said, according to the program we gave us, this is what is happening. other than leaving it blank without giving the time frame. So attaching time frame to the things or engaging the people is very important. Once you have time frame to be easy to have a clear understanding and programs. Or what the people of Kankoyo want are programs with a time frame, and see how these programs are going to change their lives. No one talks about PF in Kankoyo. Zambians have moved on. Believe you me, Chilufya, Zambians have moved on. You know, they understand. So there's time for everything. There was time for MMD, there was time for UNIP, there was time for PF, and this is time for UPND. There's nothing they can do to change anything.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. Dr. Barbara, welcome to Bakwetu. If you got a question for Honorable Mabeta for the last three topics we've touched on, before we can move on into another topic. Thank you.
Good evening, Hon Mabeta. Good evening, Hon Clevaya, and good evening, Hon Patrick, and good evening, everybody, wherever you may be listening us from. My question is, first of all, I want to recommend our Honorable MP. When I read his post, he's got that British diplomacy. You know, part by HR in England, they'll write a very fantastic letter. You start celebrating at the salary. He's actually not siding with you, but giving you some, insight. Very diplomatic. I like that the way he posts stuff. If everybody was like that, it would be good. He's very diplomatic with the way he says things. So my question is, the work of not by PF, I don't even want to mention them, but our UPND. We are doing a lot of things, but somehow some people are thinking that maybe there's a little gap with the trailing of information going down to the people that need that information. So, for example, MP Shama pensioners, they've already received those, that money has been allocated, work for the Ministry of Health, nurses, doctors, the pension schemes and all those things. But we are not talking so much about what we are doing, which is very good, but we are not talking so much about it. So that is leaving that small gap that the pathetic failures are now using for propaganda. Now, what I don't understand is, it's obviously it's just for propaganda, but because they were using the same templates, they are so used to propaganda, they've used it, they've got a PhD in propaganda. Is there any way that we can, reduce that small gap that they're using for their propaganda, so that we need to shine with what we are doing? It's a bit like we need genius, but so how are we narrowing the gap? I submit by Honorable.
Yeah, I think the onus should be on all our civic leaders, member of parliament, mayors, councillors. The onus, we need to take that responsibility to engage with the community on the ground, not through social media or through radio, but going to talk to them, in person, engage them, organize small group of meetings, let them talk, explain the government programs to them and get the feedback, allow them to ask questions and be honest in the way they are responding to the questions, and give time bounds. So the responsibility to communicate to the Zambian people shouldn't be left in one person, the minister of whether the minister or the director of what, everybody should be our responsibility. I mean, we need to build a personal relationship with the people who employed us. We are a product of hard-fought elections, which many Zambians spend so many nights. They spent so many nights. Believe you me, even before the election, the Zambians had already focused on changing the government. They waited so many nights, they couldn't sleep. They waited on the queue. Then the time I went to one of the queues, I found everybody in the queue had a bottle of water. They didn't know who bought for them. So Zambians invested a lot to give us this opportunity to work for them. So we need to go back and thank them by being available and engaging them. And one thing I've liked about this group of Zambians we have now is a well-informed group of voters. Zambians are now more informed than ever before. You cannot cheat them. You cannot cheat them that when Parliament is closed. Everyone knows when Parliament closes, the message is spread to say the Parliament has now closed and we expect the MP to be here. They'll give you 3, 4, 5 days. So they're understanding our programs. You can't cheat them anymore. There's so much access to information. The TVs, the radios, community radio station, Facebook, there's so much access to information which we should never, never abuse because sometimes they're able to understand. So let's engage the people and be available to them, listen to them. What we don't understand, let's accept for now this part is being worked on, or let me find out so that I give you the correct information. Lies cannot work anymore. Yeah, in this state era of information we have, you can't lie. No matter how good you are at lying, you can't cheat the people. You have got so much access to information. So many people know me, even those I don't know. Because of information, availability of information. So it's our responsibility as employees employed by the community to go and talk to our employers, inform them, and get directive on what they want us to do next. Because an employee who doesn't talk to the employer, they lose that employer-employee relationship. It's a broken relationship. So we need to keep engaging and talking to our employer to get feedback from them and maybe direction on what they want to work on. So just being available is enough.
We seem to have lost our brother. Oh, he's back.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, Hon Mabeta, let's move on to another topic quickly. Our president arrived in Dubai yesterday, United Arab Emirates. There is Dubai Expo there, and 192 countries are involved. The Expo started in October and it ends in March 2022. And we've heard a lot of propaganda from PF that is traveling like Vasco da Gama, wasting money. And by the way, the president has traveled with about 5 ministers this time, you know. So, Honorable Mabeta, what can you tell our viewers about the importance of our president and our 5 ministers traveling to Dubai to attend this trade expo? Thank you.
Yes, it's a fact that Zambia's economy took a nosedive, just like the PF took a nosedive in 2016. The economy hasn't been growing. The inflation, the exchange rate went, all the inflation went to 24% from 7. We haven't seen any new mines coming on board like we saw during the time of MMT. We saw Lumwana and the Kansanshi mines coming from the scratch to build mines which have employed. We haven't had any new business from 2016. So it's not possible to create new opportunities without going and reach out to those people who lost confidence. Because internationally, Zambia's reputation was damaged. Zambia's reputation was damaged. It couldn't attract any investors to come and invest in the country. When you talk about investors, not only foreigners, even Zambians like you, Chilufya, you couldn't send money home to build. You couldn't send money home to do any project because you lost the confidence whether that money is going to be applied as you planned. So if we don't give you the confidence, we don't engage you, we don't see us, we don't reach up to you, how are we going to get that foreign direct investment which we need? Because as Zambians are limited in terms of our ability to invest. So the president being in Dubai, Dubai is one of, I can say, it's the best trade center in the world. Dubai is the best trade center in the world. Everything in the world spins around Dubai. So missing such an opportunity, it means you don't love your people. At the end of the day, Zambians are looking for opportunity. All they need is someone with the capital to convert that land into wealth. So if the president, or you look at the ministers who are there, the Minister of Mines, I saw the Minister of Mines, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Commerce, it's a Minister of Energy also. Look at the investment
and the Green Minister.
Yeah, yes, to protect the environment, obvious. So this tells you that this is the direction the governments want to put in investors, and that's the only way we're going to create jobs. We shall not create jobs by continuously employing teachers and nurses. What of those who are not in those fields? How do we create jobs for them? Engineers, accountants, and the rest. In fact, even those teachers we are employing, we need to continue to increase the tax base, to continue increasing their salaries, to make the working condition better, to send them to for further studies to upgrade their qualification. We need tax to meet their aspirations. So if you don't create industries, you don't attract investments, where are going to tap in from tax? Well, how do we sustain the program? So we need investors, both foreign Zambians who are in foreign nations, non-Zambians in foreign nations, Zambians in Zambia, and non-Zambians in Zambia, to work together so that we can build the balance sheet for the country. Our country is in disarray. I think just the other day I had the Minister of Infrastructure, who's doing a very commendable job, Honorable Mulupi, visiting the roads and the sites, saying the government owes the road contractors 172 billion. 172 billion, which is just 1 billion short of the total 2021 budget. We have this debt to pay. How are we going to pay it if we don't create tax and expand the tax base? So the president being there with his natural ability, God-given ability to convince, because President Hakainde Hichilema, it's someone who can just believe by looking at him. He's well organized. Everything about him is so organized that you can easily believe him when he tells you this is going to be done. Human beings, you have a price. Just by looking at you, someone will get you a price. Chilufya. When you walk in a shop, you find that the guard will start following you. Not that they want to show you what you want to get, but because there's a price about you. Just the way you look, someone's going to value you. That's how life is. So when an investor sees the President Hakainde Hichilema, you just get that confidence to say, Zambia now I've got a different type of leadership who is going to safeguard our investment. But if we continue engaging them on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, that's confidence. You lose that on the confidence. The trip may be expensive, but the benefits are beyond the generation which are going to come. You can never talk about investment without looking at Dubai. Dubai is the commercial center of the world. You can't compare the business which goes in Dubai to any other city in the world. We need to be there in Dubai.
Bom Kelevai, thank you, Honorable Mabeta, for that well-articulated response. Bom Kelevai, any question on that?
No, Honorable, amazing. You are doing a wonderful job. I just want to put out this issue to some of our viewers, and I know I've just noticed that we seem to have viewers that are here not to build or to listen or to contribute something positive, but to negate the efforts of us doing the positive thing to the country or to the nation, or even disseminating the positive message. Yes, we shall continue talking about your favorite, your thieves, your thugs, your failures, your pathetic failures, borrowing Barbara's analysis, that we shall proceed and talk about the PF's failure if they continue trying to hide or trying to come out with their propaganda in the manner in which they are doing it right now. So we are not happy, and we want our MP, our honorable here, as you go in parliament, you have noticed, and we would suggest that please come up with laws or even bills so we can certainly clear some of these lacunas. We have a constitution that needs to be overhauled. I know I'm going a little bit out of topic, but I think these chaps, they are going to take advantage of the overhauls, of the lacunas in the Constitution, and want to use it against you, the UPND. Whether Hakainde would travel or do other things, and the by-election taking place, and people want to object or so whatever, we know at the end of the day, our country is governed by the law, and we have a supreme law of the land, and that has a lot of holes. How do we close down on these holes, the loopholes? Our Constitution is leaking. We need to seal it. So I would pray that this new government start the proceedings and let it be transparent, not like what we saw in the previous regime with the failure of that joke called Bill 10. Thank you.
Yes, I think the Constitution has got a lot of gaps which we need to amend and ensure that I think there was a commitment from the Vice President to say we are committed to give the Zambian people a constitution of the taste of the time. Even the President talked about the Public Order Act the time was opening Parliament. He spoke about it. So before the 2026 election, we're going to see a constitution which is going to respond to the needs of the people. I think having been the opposition for 23 years, it gave us an opportunity to learn things which were not working for us. So it gives us an opportunity to make sure that those things which affected us as UPND and the opposition don't affect other people who shall come after us. It's not just about us staying in power, it's about Zambia, you know. We want to see maybe in future where a UPND gets out of government and UPND comes back to government like it's been in other countries. What makes it somehow impossible for a party once they leave government to come back to government is because of the laws which the same party uses to block others from other political parties to grow. So the same laws, one day they are going to work against us. So as a UPND, you are not scared of being trading centers. You are not scared of doing the right thing. I think the president has put it very clear to say, there's no middle ground between what is right and what is wrong. What is right, and what is wrong. There's no middle ground where to say we can compromise. So even the Constitution, I'm sure Honorable Haimbe is working tirelessly around the clock to ensure that things start moving. The bill on lifestyle audits, which was a proposal, I'm sure it is coming back when we open Parliament, we're going to pass that bill so that lifestyle audit becomes law, which we can use as citizens. So we're so much committed to change the narratives. At the end of the day, we have a future in politics. You know, we just joined politics. It's what we do now, which the Zambians are going to judge us 10, 15 years from now. Because Zambians are keeping record of the things we're doing. We have generations in parliament, but the generations of those who may not be in parliament come 2026. We have a generation of presidents who, obviously, by President Hakainde being president now, he has barred opportunity for so many other presidential aspirants to become president, because come 10 years from now, what Zambians will be looking for is a different side, different, I'd say, generation of presidents. So we need to also look beyond what we are doing now, because the future crop of presidents the Zambians will be looking for could come from among us, we in the lower group. You know, those who are 40 years and below. No, those are 40 years and below. People will be looking for presidents from our group. So what we do should be about coming to give an explanation to the Zambian people when they will be interviewing us, when we want to aspire for certain positions in the future. So our commitment is beyond just being a member of parliament. Now, we need to look beyond, and we have to do the right thing, get the right attitude, and support the right policies which are there to protect the Zambians.
Thank you, Dr. Mabeta. Dr. Barbara, your questions on that, on the issue of the president traveling to Dubai? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Mine is just a comment. It's very important, like the Honorable has been saying, for the president to travel to the business centers where the money is coming from, to show that we are now on a new pathway. We have got more confidence, and we are saying we're going to do what we're saying, so that the markets have more confidence in us to go into Zambia. And then the only other thing is that it also should be, the new dawn should change the narrative of the way things used to be. So I'm still going to stick to communication. We should be able, the Ministry of Finance and all the ministries in charge of businesses, SMEs, and all of them should be able to give the country a calendar of what's happening. There'll be an expo next year in this place. There's an expo. That way, the people who are planning, like small businesses who can come together, like within Zambia, can quickly put up what they can sell or what they can expose to the rest of the world, because they've been given time. Because right now, the people that usually goes to these expos are the people who are within those circles, who already know what's happening, and then the other people will just come and hear it from the president has now traveled, and then that's when you come and hear that this thing is actually happening. But they can actually have pages on Twitter, on Facebook. Like, for example, if you live in Manchester, there will be a book exposition, there'll be mining, there'll be this at the art center. You have a whole calendar that tells you what's going to happen. Maybe something like that as well. It can be introduced even at the smaller levels for younger people. That's just a comment I had. But like you've said, Honorable, showing that we are now back in business is very important. Showing that Zambia is open for business is exactly what our president is doing, and I agree with you that that's very, very important. Zambia is open for business, is ready for business for both Zambians abroad, Zambians in the country, foreigners abroad, foreigners within the country, to build the country, because we are now a global village. I submit.
Yeah, that was fantastic, Dr. Barbara. Honorable Mabeta, any comment on Barbara's comments?
Yeah, I think we've gotten submission more, especially on the calendars. It's always important to keep people alert and understand, this expo, even me, I just came to know about it when I heard the president was going to this expo. Meaning, if he didn't go, I wouldn't have even known about it. So maybe those are the issues we need to focus on as a ruling party, on communicating the important information to the people who has traveled. I'm told there are 40 companies which have gone to that expo. Well, which companies are these? What products are they going to expose? We need to understand. We need to know the 40 companies, what are they projecting? It shouldn't just be about the president. Because even those products they have sent to Dubai, you who are not in Dubai can find an investor. Can find an investor. The same businessmen who are exposing, who are looking for opportunities in Dubai. If you knew and understood their programs, it's easy for you to market and get that link. So the focus, we need to start looking at Zambia beyond the presidency. Let's not just focus to know what is happening when the president is involved. With or without the president being involved, we need to understand and appreciate what the private sector is doing. We need to come up with information on what are we importing per month mostly as a country. What every month, what is Zambia spending on so much in imports? So that we start looking at replacing those imports, either by start manufacturing them locally. But now it's very difficult even to understand. A month will come, a month will go. Oh, we see figures to say a business, there's a surplus, there's an improvement, export value. But what are we exporting? We don't know. What are we importing more? You don't know. So we need to have more focus on information, which is going to help us to make the correct decisions. So our communication should be more of informative. All we need is educate. Zambians, all they need now is to educate them, not to confuse them. PF is coming to confuse the Zambians. We in the UPND, we need to educate them. Our role is to educate, provide the accurate and important information to them, so that even when the lie comes, you don't need to know a fake dollar, every fake dollar in the market. All you need to know is the original dollar. You know, the work we need to do as UPND is to tell the Zambian people this is the original dollar, so that when a fake dollar comes, they'll be able to tell the difference. We can't manage to know all the fake dollars in circulation, but we can manage to know the correct dollar to tell the people. So the information should be very accurate. Information should be, it should be making sense. You know, when I'm asked to say what's the government plan on Mopani, I should be able to explain to the fullest understanding and ability. We need to know the government's program, what is happening. Why has there been no pronouncement on Mopani and the KCM? Where are we in this limbo? The longer we take, the more we create anxiety to those people working in those companies who voted PF out because they didn't like the way the companies were managed. So by now we should have given them a pronouncement which should start making sense to them to say for sure the reason as miners on the copper belts became the new Tundumwezi for UPND is this and this and this. But for 4 months now down the road, they haven't given the pronouncement. And I know when this question comes up in Chingora tomorrow, it will be difficult for me to give any convincing answer because I don't know what is happening. So that's what I'm saying. We need to focus on things which Zambians want to know, on the original dollar.
Honorable Mabeta, I wanted to go on the last question or the last issue, but you've just opened up this. I've got to ask you a question. I've got to comment and ask a question. So, Honorable Mabeta, from what Barbara said, from what you've explained, it looks like there is need for proper dissemination of information, both by the government and the media in Zambia, because nobody knows about the Expo. What's happened? What about the small companies? Because obviously the big companies have gone. What about the small companies? And then the other thing, Mabeta, is in the UK, Barbara will agree with me. We've got all the government departments, even the council, everybody to do with government, local and central government. There is one place you can find information. It's called gov.uk. Everything you'll find that information. If you can't find that information, you can write to that government department and say trade and commerce. Tell me the information about the expo in Dubai. They will respond within a specified time. And that brings me to the question, Mabeta. For someone to request for that information from a government department or ministry, there should be a law. And in Zambia, we're talking about, is it the Freedom of Information Act, which so many governments have promised to enact. MMD government promised it. PF, when they came into power, they promised it. UPND has promised it. When are we going to have the Freedom of Information Act enacted as a law in Zambia? Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure the last parliament session was more on, the focus was on the budget. It was the budget session. So now we are going into a legislative session. The session we're going to go in now, it's about the law. So I'm sure a lot of laws and bills are going to come in and they'll be passed. The process of changing the constitution for them to be passed. So yeah, as we have said, I heard the Minister of Information made a commitment in Parliament. So we are going to remind them, the legislator, the executive, to say there's this bill which needs to be passed, and it has to be passed before this Parliament session, which is opening in February, ends, because there was that commitment. You know, the era of hiding information from the citizen long gone. No matter how much you want to hide the information keeps on being exposed. So the danger of not exposing the correct information is what is creating the propaganda. You know, by keeping information at a loss than that person who doesn't know and want to build on hiding the information. So the only way we're going to survive this propaganda is to inform people accurately without hiding anything. Because the more we hide it, the more they mix it and want to confuse the Zambian people. So access to information, database, having websites where someone who wants to have access to this can easily log in and get the information. When you want to refer to how much Zambia produced, how much was Zambia total copper production in 2020, you should easily have access to it. How much was Zambia's total export earnings from copper, from mini meal, from maize, from this? It should be very much available. And I've seen the commitment from the president to be being transparent and very accountable. I've never seen a president who's so passionate about being accountable. Others may say the president is lamenting. There's a difference between lamenting and being passionate. The president is passionate about things he does. The reason is a successful person because he's passionate. When you feel something you do, it's very easy for people to mix emotions and empathy. The president emphasizes things through the passion he feels about them. So that's a directive all in the UPND we need to support and take and accept as a standard, a minimum bearing standard. Every civic leader, every UPND member should be willing to be transparent and accountable in everything we do. If we cannot be transparent and accountable, it better not do it at all because it will be exposed. You cannot hide anything now, Chilufya. There's so much access to information. You can't hide it.
Thank you so much on that, Honorable Mabeta. Well articulated. Fellow Bakwetu, I'm gonna go to the last item before you could ask your last questions and closing remarks. Honorable Mabeta, last week, Chief Justice Mwamba Malila announced that the Economic and the Financial Crimes Court will soon be operational. On Friday, on Friday, the 7th of January 2022, he signed the statutory instrument that will establish the Economic and Financial Crimes Division of the High Court with the purpose of handling appeals from the subordinate courts. We've been talking about propaganda. Already, the PF, they've been issuing propaganda that this court is unnecessary. It's just a cost to the government. And not only that, it's only targeted. Actually, Ambassador Mwamba came here telling us that we shouldn't be prosecuting the former PF Kelenkas who stole our money. We can't prosecute them because we are setting a bad precedent. Honorable Mabeta, what is your view about the new court, and why do you think it's necessary? Why now? And why do you think it's necessary? We need it now. Thank you.
There's no two questions about it, Machilufya. There's no two questions about it. This economy has been, I'm sorry to use this term, has been raped by the people we thought were championing our interests. The economy has been torn apart badly, and Zambians are looking for answers. Zambians employed us to provide answers to the questions which the PF didn't give them answers. So the Chief Justice, and knowing his caliber, and the person who's very firm, is a very firm person who you can't compromise, knows what needs to be done for the Zambians to give them the answers. The judiciary, the SEC, DEC, FIC, the Auditors General, they need to give the answers to the Zambians. They're the ones who need to respond to the Zambians. There's so many questions which they have. Even when we get the life audit law, bill into law, obviously Zambians will be looking for answers on how Mabeta Hudson has managed to buy a helicopter within the first 4 months of being in parliament. They need to understand. We shouldn't wait until the time when the UPND loses government to come and visit my life. No, this will be real time check and balances on us in who have access to public finances. There are other people in the private sector who also have amassed a lot of wealth by colliding. You know, corruption hasn't been just been in the government. It became so contagious that it was everywhere. Recruitment of policemen, recruitment of teachers, anything you touched in Zambia, it was all corruption. Even just asking a kid to give you a direction, they will say, "Narari Amoshinga." Just to ask to say, where's this place? Where's this shop? Corruption eroded our moral. If we don't get rid of it, this country cannot develop. That court is long overdue, and I want to applaud and praise the Chief Justice for having taken that step. That is a good one. As long as they're clean, as long as they're free, as long as they've got evidence on how you acquired property suspected to be stolen, you don't need to worry. You know, we should be at peace. And it's a warning to all of us who've been given this opportunity to take over where the PF left, that being in a public office is not an opportunity to get rich. It's an opportunity to serve the people. If you want to get rich, the economy is improving. There'll be a lot of business opportunities. You better come out of public service and go and do business. That's where the money is. This time it's all about service. You should be content with what you earn and ensure that you create opportunities for other people who are less privileged to also strive in life. So that's code for me. I support it fully. And when I get back to Lusaka, I'm going to visit the deck, obviously, to welcome and just assure the support of the Madam Chirwa of her appointment and recognize that it hasn't been an easy road. You know, being one of the few and firm and clean people in the system which was rotten, we need to support her and just say thank you for even accepting the appointment, because she's now an enemy of a clique of criminals who might even come after her life because of wanting to hide over the things they did. So her accepting such a huge task is something everybody should support and recommend her. Obviously, with the anti-corruption, I just want to familiarize myself with the operation of these government agencies and understand if there are any challenges or if there are any laws they would want us to pass in parliament to strengthen their operations. I need to get feedback from them and we shall support them. What we need to achieve here is set the precedent. This law is not targeting any politician, it's targeting those who've stolen. When you have stolen, it shows. When you are doing a genuine business, it shows. You cannot hide corruption. Corruption stinks no matter how much you want to hide it. It's always come out somewhere else. You may not be the one exposing it, but there's someone in the chain who's benefiting from corruption who is going to expose you. When you look at the people who be reported the PF, it's not the UPND, just the UPND, they know very little about the dealings the PF had. But the same PF members who feel they were disadvantaged or who feel they are reporting themselves. Ask the PF members, they'll just say their enemies are their members who are busy pointing out and reporting issues to SEC. Go to SEC and find out who brought the cases, who reported cases after 12 August to date. Majority are former PF. So when the is that, UPND was sidelined. We know very little about what PF members used to do. I mean, everybody is that. So it's not we are not targeting anyone. It's the law which is visiting criminals. And criminals should not have space in our country. Our country needs resources. Every coin matters.
Thank you so much, Honorable
Every
Mabeta,
coin needs
for that. Yeah, but Mabeta, you just a comment. You mentioned about Mrs. Mary Chilwa.
Yeah.
This morning, when I was going to work, I saw a comment in Facebook, which I stole and posted on my Facebook wall, and it says that since Mrs. Mary Chilwa was appointed as the boss at DEC, all the Kelenkas have kept quiet. It's like they've gone into hiding because this is a woman who kept on producing reports and reports every year, year on year, and the people at DEC and corruption, they were sitting on it. And now she's gone to DEC with the copies of those reports, maybe originals, and all the Kelenkas have disappeared. They are hiding. Um, our fellow Bakwetu crew, we're now getting closer to the end of the program. I'll start with, you can ask a question on the last part of the program, which is on the Financial and Economic Crimes Court. Bom Kelevai, I think 2 minutes for Bom Kelevai, 2 minutes for Barbara, and then Honorable Mabeta, you can answer the question from Bam Kelevai and Barbara, and then you can make your closing remarks after Barbara has asked. It's over to you, Bom Kelevai. Thank you.
Ritumes tate, ritumes wo Chilufya. You see, when the announcement of the new court was published, and you hear the people that knows that they are going to be affected for that court are the ones coming out crying foul to say this court, this court, this court, that. By the way, the Chief Justice has all the rights and has all the power to actually form any court that to speed up or that to dispense justice, where every person that is faced with any economical activities could actually go and redress. And that's why we have courts that can today deal with cases of labor disputes. We have courts that deal with family disputes. And this is just an added advantage in making sure that everybody access justice, and justice will be delivered within the reasonable time. I just hope that even the adjudicators that are going to be in charge of this noble court are well vested with the duties that are vested in them, that are given to them. So I am so delighted with that, and we are not worried of the people that stole, that they may come up with all kind of allegations, and we don't have to even move, because we know that they are trying to cover up their tracks. They stole, and they need to answer to their wrongs. And also the issue of information, dissemination of information by UPND. On that aspect, you really need to pull up your socks, because we see that we don't have information. Even the journey of the president to Dubai, we ought to have known this a long time ago through Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and other media for us. But instead, look at what these guys are showering us with. They are giving us wrong information about PF, Lusambo, DNA, about all this kind of crazy stuff that are not going to build our nation. And this is where Zambians are putting a finger on type of pad. We don't want such kind of nonsense. Let that nonsense go and deal with that. And we want the information from the government. You are no longer in opposition by UPND. You are in government. We are craving. We, the people, are craving for information about anything that is transpiring in what is going on in government. Give us this information so that we are well vested and we are able to attack, or rather respond or retaliate to these rumor mongers or these liars who are trying to degrade and disrespect the current regime. So otherwise, to me, it was not a question. It was more like just my own remarks, or my opinion is that please Minister of Minister of Information, we love you. We respect you, Madam. You're honorable. We would love you to give the people the info. Send your people everywhere on the medias. If you don't have the money, you can also come to Bakwetu. Us here, it's pro bono. We can talk to you. We can share the same information to everyone. What we are doing with Honorable Mabeta. Having said that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the job that you're doing. We want the president, wherever he goes, before he even goes, we are given the information so that we know. Unlike what is going on today, movie TV, whatever diamond, whatever, there's just PF propaganda everywhere. And which is not even making any sense. And we are not going to build the country based on the people that we booted out. We kicked their Amatako out. So, Mwaranje, that is also an idiom I'm used. I haven't insulted. So that is how we should just concentrate and talk about things that are developmental, that are going to build our nation. Chapwa, simple than DNA. What for? Kabie kuloko court.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mukeleva. Keep that thought for now. We'll discuss that topic another day. Dr. Barbara, your comments, your views, your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the show, Patrick, Honorable, and Mukeleva. I've only got 3 points since it's 3 minutes. Point number 1, as a Bemba woman from the Bemba royal family, I would like to make it clear that as Bembas, when we use idioms that you are seeing flying around in the Facebook all over, they are used pansaka. Pansaka is a place where young people who have become of age are educated. It's not a day-to-day, you're just walking about and you say, oh, uncle, take a nyama A, B, C, D, punch. No, it's pansaka, where they are taught how to be men, and they are taught various way in various language. And then moving forward, that language is used by people you call, your pet person, like your grandfather. Your grandfather can talk to you education-wise using that language, but not just a day-to-day. So let's not educate our children to use that language on a day-to-day. It shouldn't be. Then 2, the court cases that are going around, the economic courts that has started, again, we should make sure that, people have been misunderstanding what the president said about investigations. People think that but without coming to your house, without coming to investigate. Even here in developed countries where there is democracy, if today, if a woman called the police and said a man slapped me or my husband slapped me, there will be 4 vans coming to your house. There will be a helicopter. There will be a dog to come and sniff whatever could be there. They come the whole lot. So these people going to investigate in people's houses, if you've not done anything, just allow them to come in and respect them, because at the end of the day, they are working for you. They are working for all of us. And then point 3, I just want to thank you, Mabeta. Thank you very much. You've been a regular on radio on Bakwetu TV. Keep doing a good job, and I see you all the time. You walk the talk. You're always going down to the people. You almost look like you're campaigning every day, but you're always speaking with the people in your constituency, which is very good. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you so much, Mukeleva. And even for those idioms, Mukeleva, be careful, Mukeleva. Maybe you need to come to me. I will teach you some, but at a fee. But Barbara, thank you so much for that wonderful remark and concluding remarks. And Honorable Mabeta, over to you. Your closing remarks or any comments on what Bomkeleva said, but not on idioms, and what Dr. Barbara said? Thank you.
Yeah, many thanks first, most, and first to the viewers. We really appreciate the time we spend with you. This means that you are interested in the things we do, and it builds us a huge, I can say, motivation. You know, we need to talk to you as our employers. Without you, we wouldn't have been where we are. So we need to continue engaging you, giving feedback, and getting the new directives so that you can tell us where you want us to work. Then on information, I think we need to repackage information where we are going to focus on informing the Zambians on the real dollar. You know, let's not search hard looking for fake dollars around. There's too many fake dollars circulating. All we have is the real dollar as Zambians, and the real dollar is programs and activities which are going to work for the Zambian people to make the economy work and start responding to their needs. Number two is to give them answers on questions they have. They have questions on the fire tenders. They have questions. They have so many questions which we know, and we need to give them answers. If the answers are not good enough, let's be honest enough and say, due to security reasons, we cannot talk about this issue. It's a closed issue. And rather than creating speculations, government programs should come with time frame, and like when you board on a plane, you know, we are told this flight is going to take this between this and this. At least you're given a picture which you expect as a passenger on a flight. That's the direction we need to take. Let's give pronouncements which have got a calendar so that it's easy for anyone to argue to say, no, no, no. The promise to pay out all the farmers was meant to pay them first week of February. We're not yet in February. The promise to recruit teachers is going to be done in March. We are not yet in March, so why should we put pressure on the government on the promise they made? The only way we're going to survive this propaganda is to become more offensive than reactive. By being offensive is to give a calendar. But the more we leave it blank, it's the more we're creating this propaganda around. Believe you me, PF died the moment, may he so rest in peace, President Sata died. The figures are there to confirm. 2015 results, 2016, 2021. Just go on the ECZ website and look at the total figures PF was getting. They are in negative in all the provinces apart from Eastern Province. So PF died that time, and you shouldn't even worry about them. What is one thing new they're going to do to reverse the noise stuff they took when President Sata died? There's nothing they're going to do about it. They're in denial. Give them time to mourn. In Bemba, we say no idioms. You know, let them mourn. Give them time to mourn. Eventually, they're going to heal. You know, slowly, as you have said, a lot of them, they're now coming back to their normal senses. You know, there are only one or two who are still arrogant, but believe you me, it's just a matter of time. Very, very soon, all of them, they'll come back to their normal senses and try to catch up with them. What you did, you, the Zambians, was something they would never imagine could have happened. Even us who went in the battle with the PF, it was so hard to believe that we're going to win the election. It was so hard. We just kept our fingers crossed, not knowing what you Zambians were thinking. Voting day, I went to every polling station. I went around just to check the mood of the people. No one was talking to me. They were just looking at me. Even saying hi, no one couldn't say. I couldn't tell what the people were thinking. But the results came out and it showed us, you know. So don't worry about PF. Forget about them. They died in 2015. I can bet with you, under this sun, you'll never see PF coming back to rule government. Unless they form another party and they have the same people, but as PF political party, they died in 2015. Numbers don't lie. Thank you and look forward to the next program next week. Bye-bye.
Honorable Mabeta, that idiom, I allow you to use it, but not the one Bom Keleba wanted to use. And on PF losing, oh my God, Mabeta, the best thing that happened in my life is to defeat PF.
Yeah.
And you know, that was in. And the other thing about Mabeta is Zambians, you true, PF is gone, gone, gone. Zambians don't have short memories, and once they change, you cannot change their minds. And Mabeta, you also mentioned about something about dealing with PF propaganda in football. Some of us who knows football very well, we say the best way of defense or
It's
to
to attack.
defend is to attack.
Yeah.
And that's the way our government needs to deal with this PF propaganda machinery. Is not defending or firefighting or offense. Is to attack. Let's attack these guys. All they're trying to do is to distract, but they won't win. And on that note, our viewers, we're coming to the close of our program. It was a fantastic program with a fantastic Bakwetu crew. Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta, for coming again, despite your busy schedule. We do appreciate your presence, your patriotism, and your desire to see a united, developed, and prosperous Zambia. To Dr. Barbara and Bom Kelebai, thank you so much for your time and your support. To our viewers, thank you so much for those stars. And may the good Lord bless our beautiful mother Zambia. Bye for now. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Good night.